For the love of God, please do not go into Google and type, what are the best cities to invest in? You know why? Because everyone does that. And if you're everyone, you're not going to find anything. Because if everyone does that, it means everyone's looking in the same area. So let's find the smarter way to find a great city to invest in. What is the smart way to do this? Essentially, you're going to be looking at what is the employment, who are the biggest employers, and what's going on with the population and the building of different apartments. So I've created this Notion document here essentially. And for this example, I'm going to be doing Atlanta. Okay, so here we got employment. And then essentially I'm going to go ahead and show you, but I'm going to put in information. I'm going to check, is it good, medium, or low? Like what is its ranking here? This kind of has to do with where you're going to get the information from. And then you're going to put like, have you done it? Are you in progress of collecting the information, etc.? And then what is the kind of the summary of what you discovered throughout that? Okay. So for example, I put, it's great until 2023 ? And we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead. I push open here. And this is what I found. But before I show you what I found, let me show you my source here. So this is my link. Now, when you're doing this, look up here. You're going to see this is the most recent year I can actually get. Even though right now it's currently March of 2025, the most recent year that they have in the database is 2023. Okay. Now I'm looking at what is the unemployment rate for the Atlanta metro area. And it's important, if you go here to filters, you're going to kind of see that I have selected a certain area. All right, exit out of that, and you'll see that it's listed up here. Alpharetta, Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Roswell. So this is the location, the geographic region that I'm focused on. All right, then scroll down here and you can see what the unemployment is. So it has the number here and then it has the percentage, which is 4.8%. So then I go back to the chart on Notion and I put in 4.8% for 2023. And then you're going to go back to 2022. I put in all of the different percentages of unemployment. So you can see in 2019, it was at 3%. And it is odd that it's at 4.8%. So I'm curious why that changed. And what is going on? Is one of the large businesses, are they having trouble? Yeah, there's a lot of questions that can come out of these. So don't stop at these statistics, right? Okay, but this is going to give you an idea of what you may need to research. But overall, the 5-year average of 3.12%, that is pretty good. Like that is a good unemployment number that I can take. Okay, so moving on, go ahead and close this. We're going to look at population now. So go ahead and I click my link here. Okay, and I've got 2023 here for population. And you just scroll down and you can check the area, make sure you're looking at the right area. If you're not, you just go back to filters and you can search for the area that you want. Okay. And then I'm going to put in the percentage of each age category between the most recent year and then the previous year before that, so we can follow the trend. So you go back to the Notion here, open this up. I've already inputted it all. So you can see this trend. Interestingly enough, in 2019, it was 67,000 in 2008, and then it went down a little bit. It was at its highest in 2022. So this is interesting. And the other part that's interesting is that we see that big unemployment rate, right? So I wrote some questions up here. Why did the population decrease? Are people being outpriced in Atlanta? And this is a great avenue to go down and look at, because when I was doing the same thing for a different city, I found that the population did decrease, but the median income had increased, which signified to me that people are moving further out of the city because it's getting too expensive to live in the city, which isn't great, unfortunately, for a lot of people. Although from a real estate aspect, that's probably not going to affect you. And that's actually really good to know, because that may mean if you buy further out on the outskirts, you actually have like a good opportunity because people are moving out of the city. So that means that now I need to research that. I need to figure out what is going on in 2023. Why is this unemployment rate going up? And why is the population having a little bit of a dip? Okay, so I touched on that there. And then business that moved locations. Yeah, so that's another thing that I thought about researching from this trend here is, are there any businesses that were larger that left? And Atlanta has a lot of universities in the city. Most cities do have a lot of universities, right? Okay, but I need to research, like, are universities having a decrease in student enrollment, or is it up? So what is going on with the largest universities in Atlanta? The largest universities are Emory and Georgia Tech. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to research that further on. So I just put those notes in, okay? Then I'm going to look at population age. And this one was also interesting. So only 3 population ages had an increase. And you can kind of see here. Now, this is a good one from a rental perspective if you're looking for real estate to rent out. If you are looking to sell real estate, though, this is probably a better age, because 45 to 54 is more likely to be buying a property. And 60 to 64 more likely to be buying, but they may be downsizing. So that's an important kind of key component to know when you're looking at these ages. Now, again, I went to census.gov to get this, and I just compared the years. And I did put this in a medium ranking because I am a little concerned that this age range 25 to 34 decreased, because this is a good renter population, and if that's decreasing, that's not a great sign. So again, have to figure out what's going on with that. So again, you're gonna have to dig and do a little more research. Okay, job diversity. So for this one, I went to census.gov and I didn't want to type in each one, so I just did a screenshot picture here. So I'll pull it up. So it goes through kind of these main different industries here, And obviously the largest 2 are right here. Now, anytime you have an industry that doesn't take up more than 25% of the population, that's great. So Atlanta checked off all of the great aspects that I want to have for when it comes to having a good variety in different industries. So here we have 24% professional, scientific, and management. That part got cut off, unfortunately. That's great. Educational services and healthcare is at 21.9%. Also great. Now, arts, entertainment, and recreation. Obviously, this one isn't very recession resistant at 9.5%. However, again, I'm just not too worried about that because it's not a massive amount. Finance and insurance, real estate, 10%. Yeah, that one's great. Like, no one's going to complain about that either. And then what is the smallest one on here? I guess agriculture. Like, you're not going to find this in the city, right? So that's the smallest amount. 8% is another high one. Retail trade. Obviously, that does get hit by recessions. And we'll kind of get more in the next tab on the different businesses in Atlanta. But this is just a great way to dig in and investigate what the largest industries are for the city that you're thinking of investing in. And again, you want to make sure that they're all under 25%. Now, if they are above 25%, it's okay. It's not the worst thing ever. You just want to make sure that that industry is a very stable industry. Because again, you need people with jobs to be able to rent your place that you're investing in. Or if you do retail, commercial real estate, same thing, you need businesses to be doing well. Okay, so moving on, supply and demand. This was one that I did struggle to get information with because for whatever reason, this site is done. So you can see I've got done here. And then for this one, I still have in progress. And that's why I love this little Notion tablet here. So you can mark it as you go along and make sure you've gotten everything. And then I just there's 2 different links here, but I actually needed a third link that was not working for whatever reason. And I'll show you that in a second. I couldn't get the permits that were being pulled for this one. All right, I'll touch base on that on the end here, but essentially you're going to research what is the rental vacancy rate for the area that I'm interested in, the city that I'm interested in. So for Atlanta, you can see in 2019 it was 10%, which is actually kind of high. And then for 2023, it's 8.6%. So again, we're seeing this kind of negative aspect that's going on because the unemployment went up in 2023 and the percent of rental vacancy went up in 2023 in comparison to 2022. So 2022 was like all around a good year for Atlanta, and 2023 was not quite as good as 2022. So this is like more things that I'm going to go ahead and dig deeper into and see what's going on. That said, overall, it's not bad. This isn't a bad rental vacancy at all. And I feel even better when I scroll down to here, and these are the numbers that I got from census.gov about the median rent in Atlanta. This is actually quite wild. So in 2019, it was $1,502. And then we see that it has increased to $1,930. That is a 28.4% increase in rent from 2019 to 2023. That is not good as a tenant. You don't want to hear that. As a landlord, that's pretty phenomenal. So that is a wonderful aspect of investing in Atlanta. You have this kind of security. Now, it could be overly inflated. That's something to take into note. But even if if I was going to be underwriting for Atlanta, I would probably write it more at 2022 numbers, if anything, just to be safe for any kind of market correction. Okay, so this was the part where I struggled though. Units permitted. So I was looking on census.gov for 5+ units permitted to be built this year in 2023 and 2022, and I could not find it. I mean, I could. It's just that the site kept saying like I couldn't get to it was having website issues essentially. So I did my Google search, and what I got from Google was that 46,000, but I couldn't find them for 2022. So I still have this in progress. This is something I'm going to continue to research. I want to figure this out because this can, obviously, if we have a lot of units being built, you could be increasing your vacancy rate. You can be increasing the competition for your apartments that you may be trying to rent out if there's a lot of new builds going on. However, on the flip side of that, if there's not enough new builds going on and there isn't too much permitting going on, then you know that you actually have a decrease in your competition. So these are all good things to look at. Okay, so then the last marker that I like to look at is who are the top employers in business and how recession resistant are they? If they are not recession resistant, you know that your apartments could be heavily impacted by a recession. So here are, according to a quick Google search here, not as reliable as census.gov, okay, but this is what I found. And again, I just screenshot it because I'm not going to write in all these individually. So the first one was Delta Airlines. That obviously is absolutely not recession resistant, okay, so that's a red flag. Oh, universities, you've got healthcare's, Home Depot, okay, they're a big company. They're not going to go bankrupt, but they're not going to be the most recession resistant company either, okay, so a little red flag there. Cox Enterprises, at first I thought, not recession resistant, but I looked up. They're more of a holding company than a television broadcasting company. For example, they hold the AJC, which is a very prominent news kind of. Okay, if you live in Atlanta, you know what AJC is. Okay, so then we've got more health, we've got more education, a bank. Okay, Lockheed Martin, they're going to be government contracts primarily. So again, they're pretty recession resistant. This one was kind of interesting. Arjun Bright Holdings Group. I had to Google them. They are a very prominent holdings group, and they're essentially a private equity company, if you don't know. And I can't believe it that they're beating out Georgia Power Company. They're beating out the CDC by how many employees they have. And I looked up the guy that owns it. I think he started in 1976. There's 3 companies that he owns. One of them does have to do with aviation, which is a little riskier. The other one was like a maintenance company that was really big. He's obviously sold a few company, probably a lot more than a few over time. I didn't go deep into this. Okay, we're not doing we're not doing a private equity video here. However, I want to say, please do subscribe because I will be doing how to build your own private equity company by acquiring businesses. That's kind of my bread and butter. That's what I know. That's what I know the most about, truly. And I'm going to be starting that the first week of June. So please do subscribe. I'm putting a lot of time and effort into that, and it's going to be great. So if you would like to be a holdings group with 4,843 employees, tune into that. Circle back here to picking a location to buy real estate in, to invest in real estate in. Okay, so ultimately, yes, we have Delta Airlines here, not great. Home Depot, not great. Public supermarket, healthcare, all of these other ones are pretty much good. Lockheed Martin, CDC, Georgia Power Company, Verizon and AT&T. I didn't know that Verizon and AT&T were so prominent here. So anyways, these are great. And I think overall, we can say it's okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. How do I exit out of this? There we go. So we did that. And go back here. Okay. I have finished all of these. I know the unemployment is good. Okay. I know the population. I put medium there because remember that it did... The population, what was it? It did something funky. Yeah, it decreased, okay? So that's why I put medium there. You typically don't want the population decreasing. So I need to figure out what's going on there. The population age, again, I put medium because we wanted to see this number here, 25 to 34, increasing because that's your high rent population. And unfortunately, it didn't show that. So moving on, I put good for job diversity. Again, it was, I'm not going to pull that back up because we know it was good, okay? Now, supply and demand, I did still need to figure out how many permits were being pulled in 2022 versus 2023. But other than that, remember for this one, how great the vacancy rate was relatively low, and then how wonderful this was, okay? Now, putting in all of this information does take some time, and that's why I put the link here in case I need to go back, I need to double check something, because once you find, I think it's just hard to find this link, honestly. You have to really do some digging. Now, that's why I put in here selected economic characteristics, annual population estimates. These are the names of the forms that I'm finding in census.gov. Okay. Again, I have more of just the source stuff and what I wanted to pull from that. Anyways, I will do my best to put this in description. No promises here because it depends on my tech savviness here, okay? But if I can figure out how to get this template in the description of the video, I will absolutely link this, and then you can just duplicate it and you can use it to pull all the information for the city that you're interested in investing in. When you are thinking of different cities, definitely do whatever one you live in. And then I say just pick 2 other ones. Some people say do 10, do 5. Just pick 3. Just start with that and go from there. If they come out good, I just don't want you to feel like you're doing all this work for nothing. It's important that you do this work. It's important that you know what's going on within this city from an economic and population standpoint. It's very important before you buy property. That said, we have property in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was doing all of this for Lexington, and a lot of these forms I actually couldn't get the information for on the same forms that you would find them for these bigger cities. I had to really dig a lot deeper. So if you are looking for a city that is not kind of one of the big, top 20 big cities like Tampa, Atlanta, DC, San Francisco, Los Angeles. If you're not doing one of those bigger cities, you may struggle to find the information on census.gov. So just keep that in mind. It takes a little more investigative work, but you will find it. It is there. It just takes a little more digging. Okay. All right, so this is how you're going to ultimately decide if a location is a good fit from a location, from a geographic standpoint. And I hope it helps. Please do subscribe. It really helps. Leave me a comment if there's anything else that you would really like to know, and I'd be happy to talk about it. All right, thanks. No sweat, just equity.